We are in a race between the forces of ecological destruction and the forces of ecological renewal. The fate of the world depends on which sets the tone. We are the ones who will turn things around, or not. This year and the next few years will make the difference. I'm Andrew Gaines. I'm with Be the Change. We're organizing a global sustainability surprise party during May 2014. Organizations around the world will put on events championing whole system change to a life-sustaining society. Our intention is not modest. It is, with others, to change the direction of the developed world. Imagine if people everywhere were talking about transformative change and seeking out the solutions that you and others offer. Imagine if kids saw adults taking adult leadership, adult responsibility. Imagine if the news were more hopeful than heartbreaking. There is already a huge wave of constructive change going on. We are in the midst of what future historians may call a great transition. Paul Hawken's book, Blessed Unrest, describes the size of this wave. Millions of groups around the world arising to deal with our environmental and social issues. Hawken describes it as the greatest social change movement in the history of the world, and it's largely unseen. The purpose of the Sustainability Surprise Party is to accelerate the great transition. We do this by mobilizing informed, passionate public will for change. To the extent that we get the public on board, all of our individual initiatives will gain much more traction. Those of us who care can join forces to affect public will. I would like to think that you will choose to join us in this endeavor. Let me quickly review the context. First, we are in a global ecological emergency. It's not just about global warming. It's also things like ocean acidification, soil degradation, looming freshwater issues, loss of biodiversity, a dismal list. If we ask what makes any one of these issues worse, it turns out that the operation of our whole society is involved. The needed changes for things to come right are so profound and so good-hearted that we call it whole system change. We are catalyzing a new level of aspiration, catalyzing a global citizen-led educational movement. Where will the leadership for this citizen-led initiative come from? It'll come from people who care, which is to say, people like us. We include business leaders, activists, and people on the street who, like myself, care deeply about the well-being of coming generations. We are the members of the groups Paul Hawken mentioned. We are creating the future now. The Sustainability Surprise Party is too big for any one group to coordinate. We are inviting organizations and individuals to act as co-leaders. You could arrange for your organization to stage educational events about transformative change. If your organization plans to do certain events anyway, you could schedule those during the month of May, and you could position those as a contribution to the great transition that we're all part of. Doing that would contribute to making the great transition top of mind in public consciousness. You could contact leaders of other organizations and invite them to participate. The intent is to get so many of us on board that we change the global sustainability conversation. We change it from talking about incremental change or protest or silo projects to this larger intent. We are engaged in a battle for the future of the planet. Our strategy is to lift our game by taking that battle into an arena where vested interests cannot compete. And that is helping people connect the dots and think for themselves. Organizations will champion whole system change through every media available: blogs, articles, lectures, street theater, parties, and things I haven't thought of yet. More personally, we're inviting organizations to train their members to be what we call transition leaders and conduct personal face-to-face conversations with people they know. We have a means of seeding transformative ideas into mainstream culture. The goal here is to engage people who would not normally think about this stuff. We need to move past preaching to the converted, and that means we have to go beyond our own comfort zones. One of the powers of conversation is that people can assimilate new information. They can see the consequences of our current environmental trends, and they can have a space to bring up their doubts and reservations, and we can outline the path to action. We have developed teaching tools that you can adapt in your own way. We have set it up as a turnkey system that need not take an overwhelming amount of your time. A small amount of effort, astutely applied, can have very large leverage effect. We are in a global ecological emergency with the future of humanity at stake. If we succeed in changing the direction of our global civilization, and nothing else will do, future generations will thank us profoundly. I hope you will join us in this endeavor. Please do.